Welcoming everybody to the Dumb Marks After Dark. Look at us getting professional with the intro.
Change it up just a little bit.
I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. We're here breaking down Impact Rebellion on Sunday. This Sunday, April 25th. Stat card loaded show. Don't sleep on this pay-per-view. If you guys were on the fence about watching it, spend the money or find the link. You didn't hear me say that, but definitely tune in on Sunday because this card is loaded and it has the chance right now. I know we're the end of April, but this card has potential to be pay-per-view of the year so far out of all the promotions. That's how strongly I feel about this card. We'll see what my other co-hosts feel as we break down the card itself. So, gentlemen, you excited? You ready to break down Impact Rebellion?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's especially one match in particular, which is the main match that everybody's talking about. That I think the wrestling world will probably be talking about come Monday.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a Monday morning water cooler moment if everybody was in the office, but being at home with COVID, who knows how that works out.
So it'll be that, will social media explode on Sunday night?
Yeah, they've been pumping it up, obviously, for good reason. And, from everything that's been said, there will be a definitive winner Sunday night. So you'll either have Rich Swann being the AEW and Impact champion, or you will have the best bout machine, the wrestling god himself, Kenny Omega, as the Impact and AEW and AAA World Heavyweight Champion.
You mean we weren't talking about Hawkins versus Ryder?
No, we'll get into that.
I thought that was the one that was going to.
Don't sleep on that match either.
Is that your main event?
Yep. That is his main event. It's two WWE guys. Of course it's his main event. It's the only reason why he's going to tune into the show. So, yeah, and it's laundry day, so don't kill the guy that showed up with a Cody Rhodes shirt to break down Impact Wrestling, okay?
As you say, you do have a Kenny Omega shirt, so.
We're not called Dumb Marks for a reason, all right? All right, so for those of you that didn't get caught up on the show on Impact last night, Thursday, when we run through these matches, give a little backstory based off of what's going on, kind of the go-home show feel and vibes for each match, and then we'll break down, give our predictions. At the end of the show, as always, we will give our selection for match of the night, any other points we want to hit on before we wrap it up and get out of here. So without further ado, on the Dumb Marks After Dark, let's get into this call and break it down.
All right, let's do it. So let's start off with an interesting one because we don't know how this match is going to change on Sunday. Because I don't remember what the exact injury is, but I know Eric Young's out of the match. So we have Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack versus Violent by Design, which is Eric Young, Diener, Joe Doring, and Rhino.
So Eric Young tore his ACL.
Okay.
If you watched the Go Home show last night, he wrestled that entire match with a torn ACL. And it was one of the better matches that I've seen so far. Just on a regular TV episode of Impact, Dynamite, NXT, Raw, SmackDown. Whichever show you watch, him and Eddie Edwards last night had a really good main event. But he did that on a torn ACL, and I have no idea how he pulled that off. He posted on social media, on Twitter. He put out a message on Twitter earlier in the day yesterday explaining what happened. Rumors were prior to the week came out that he was injured and tore his ACL. So, like you said, don't know how they're going to change up the match tomorrow night. I don't know if it'll go from an 8-man down to a 6-man, or they'll get somebody else to fill in for him, or he'll just stand there and not get into the match at all. I have no idea how they're gonna break it down. But so that's kind of where we stand at with that point, which sucks because this feud, if you want to call it that, but between these eight men, it's been a decent storyline. It's a good undercard storyline for an undercard storyline. So Rhino got added into the group a couple weeks ago. Eric Young is assembling his roster. I was surprised to see Rhino come back, but given all the injuries that have gone on with Heath Slater and the just sad situation that he's in right now with everything that he had to get fixed on surgery wise, it's going to be a long time before Heath Slater can get back in the ring. So they had to do something with Rhino, and adding him into the group makes sense. So that's where we stand right now. Let's leave Eric Young in the match, just for prediction's sake, and then we'll see how they break it down and how it shakes out on the show itself. So going around the horn, who you got, Violent by Design or Eddie Edwards, James Storm, Chris Sabin, and Willie Mack?
Like you said last week on the pod, it's just a shame, TNA tapes so far in advance that whenever injuries like this happen, it's just like they don't have a chance to catch up or announce stuff ahead of time.
Yeah, no room, and sometimes you get a chance. They tape 2 months at a time. So with this pay-per-view, they'll do their next 2 months worth of taping whenever they do this show. Usually Sunday and Monday they'll tape. So they have the pay-per-view Monday, they'll tape, and they'll do 2 months worth. They'll do 8 weeks worth of television, and then
leading up to Slammiversary, probably end of June, early July.
Yeah, so that's how they do it. Understandably, given their budget, their situation, bringing everybody in, so on and so forth. So yeah, if it's early enough and something happens, you can go back in and edit because everything's taped, so you can kind of do some work on the fly there. But when it happens literally right before the pay-per-view, not much to go on there. So we'll see come Sunday. But
I was actually kind of surprised on Impact that they didn't, say like give it like an update, like, hey, he's out, injured, blah blah blah. But so yeah, it'd be kind of one of those things if they announce it ahead of time on Sunday, or you have to tune into the pay-per-view to see. I'm thinking they'll probably replace him with somebody. I'm not sure who. But just for that, usually whenever there's a surprise element, that's usually who gets the win. So I'm going to go with Violent by Design for the win in this match, just for the surprise element, but kind of interested to seeing where this match goes.
Yeah. Jay Donald.
I'm going to go with Sabin and Eddie Edwards, Willie Mack, and the other guy.
James Storm, the other guy. He only just had his 1,000th, match for TNA. Like, only been a mainstay since the company launched in 2002. But jeez, oh man.
I'll go with Violent by Design. The name sounds pretty cool.
No, like I said, the group itself, I know Eric Young is not everybody's cup of tea, and I tweeted out last night watching the show, whether you like him or you don't like him, you got to respect him for what he did in the ring last night, wrestling on that torn ACL. This version of him, this character of his, and what he's done, and the stories that they told with each individual in his group has been good storytelling again for that lower mid card storytelling that you'd like to see from those guys that could eventually lead to one or maybe two of them getting elevated up the card as we go. So job well done with Impact with them, storytelling wise. And most of these stories going into this pay-per-view have been really solid and have been really good. So it's added more interest to the matches. I know there's one guy on the show that doesn't believe storytelling is necessary in wrestling. So, but I'm gonna go with Violent by Design. Also, like you said, Chris, the surprise factor typically, but because it's Eric Young and he's the head of the stable, head of the faction, I don't know who they pull in to get to replace him and where that goes. So that'll be interesting, something to see coming out of these tapings moving forward. But I'll give it to Violent by Design.
What is America's Most Wanted? It was James Storm and what was the other dude?
Chris Harris.
I know he showed up a couple weeks ago for James Storm's 1,000 match.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see Wildcat back on the screen again. He left wrestling and really left wrestling. You didn't hear nothing else about him. Maybe an occasional indie, but that was it. When he was done, he was done. So it was cool to see them two on screen again. And he played into, furthering the story to where we're at with these 8 men in this match on Sunday.
Yeah. All right, so Jason's main event: Matt Cardona versus Brian Myers.
Brian Myers.
So this has been brewing ever since Cardona showed up in Impact. Myers approached it as, "Hey, I've moved on. I went somewhere else. Why are you following me? Like you've been by my side for 18 years or whatever, however long they went WWE together, FCW, whatever the case may be." He goes like,
the Edgeheads.
Yeah, out of everywhere you could go, you decided to follow me. Like, dude, you need to get a life and stop following me around. Like, so that's kind of how it's been brewing, and they've had issues, on and off throughout the time that both have been there. So coming into this Thursday night, they had, I think it was last night, or no, it was the week before, but they each got to pick an opponent for the other one to face. You know how that goes. Myers won his match. Cardona lost his. I thought we were going to have like a stipulation added to this.
They were teasing it on social media, but
yeah, and I was expecting maybe a blindfold match because Myers had the eye injury and he had the eye patch on, and they kind of flirted with that a little bit too early on in the story. But apparently, it's just a straight up wrestling match. So
right now, yeah,
maybe come Sunday there will be a stipulation added to it for these two. I would have liked to seen some type of stipulation added. I felt that it would fit them two having a stipulated match instead of just a straight up wrestling match. But I'm gonna go with Cardona in this one. Always ready. Myers cut a hell of a promo on him on last night though. It was good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Matt Cardona as well. I just think that's kind of going to be the storyline going into this. I don't see this being the last match for the two of them. I kind of see this going on for a little bit. So
hey, Myers has been really good in Impact.
Yeah.
He calls himself the most professional wrestler or the pros pro, something like that. I can't remember exactly what, but he's been really good in Impact. I think Impact is a perfect place for him as far as scene wise, talent wise, what he can do in the ring wise. I think Impact was the perfect spot for him.
Since he's been there, he's gotten plenty of time on TV. He seems to be every week gets some time. So
yep.
Can't say he was getting that in WWE.
I'll go with Myers in this fight.
I'm trying to find a line he said last night because I know I saved it. And I'm not going to be able to find it now. All right, you can move on.
All right, so we'll go into our first stipulation of the night. Got a last man standing match between Trey Miguel and Sami Callihan.
This has been brewing ever since Trey Miguel came back. Obviously, Trey Miguel of the Rascals fame with the now Nash and Lee in NXT, MSK.
Mm-hmm.
Those three were the Rascals in Impact, and the Treehouse Stoner gimmick, done way better than Matt Riddle, by the way. But they, Trey was more on the singles out of the three whenever they were in Impact together, and he's really good in the ring. He's up there with like Ricochet, Will Ospreay, like your other high flyers. Super creative, super innovative in the ring. Always comes up with something new that you haven't seen before. TJP is another one who we'll get into on this card, who's creative in the ring, the same as Trey. But yeah, when he came back, him and Sami have been back and forth with each other. Sami calling out Trey's passion for the business. Saying he lacks passion, he lacks killer instinct. Anytime he's put into a big spot, he loses. And then Sammy being the dastardly heel that he is, he did some shenanigans and went to Trey's wrestling school and roughed up some of his students and everything else. So it's been brewing for a while. Good call on the last man standing match. I'm going with Trey. Chance to elevate him up.
It's interesting. This is Sammy's wheelhouse, so I'm going with Sammy.
Sammy doesn't need to win.
He doesn't. Sammy's fine by himself, but it depends on. I guess for me, it would depend on if they're going to continue this storyline. If this is just a one-shot match, I see Sammy getting over. If it's going to continue on, then I could see Trey getting the win.
Because this is Sammy's type of match, I'm going with Trey Miguel to go over.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll go Trey Miguel because I'm over Sammy. I'm tired of all of this stuff. He reminds me of Dean Ambrose with all these type of matches.
All right.
Anything else?
No.
Go on the next one. All right.
No.
We'll go into our first title match of the night. The X Division Championship. Ace Austin as the champion going in versus Josh Alexander and TJP.
This has potential to be match of the night. These three in the ring are going to be really good together. Josh and TJP had a hell of a match 2 weeks ago on Impact. I'm a super fan of Josh Alexander. I loved him in the North with Ethan Page. Since Ethan's left, he has really stepped up his game as far as being a singles competitor. Ace just won the X Division title back from TJP, so I don't know if you necessarily have him drop it right now, but this is gonna be one that will have people talking with some of the stuff they do in the ring between these three.
Yeah, I think all three men are talented in the ring. This is definitely a place where TJP is shining more. Impact's always worked for him. He had his run in WWE, but Impact's been more of his place to showcase his talent.
He's been really good at MLW too.
I forgot he was in there too. I'm a big Josh Alexander fan, like Tim in the North as well, and I agree. He's stepped up his game since he's been a single star. But I'm a huge fan of Ace Austin. I don't see him losing this match, so I'm going to go with Ace to retain.
You guys know how I feel about TJP. So he's automatically out the picture. I was really surprised with I didn't know who Josh Alexander was until they did that revolver match.
Okay.
And he really impressed me in that. I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna go with Josh Alexander.
Yeah, if you can go back to, I think it was the show 2 weeks ago. Him and TJP had the opening match of the show. They went about 20 minutes.
You gonna recommend the TJP match?
No, I'm recommending Josh Alexander TJP.
I wasn't a believer in Ace Austin at all until I started watching his matches, and he grew on me. And that guy could go in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And I like his gimmick. I like his gimmick a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. They've been good. They did a bit 2 weeks ago in Swingers Casino, Swingers Palace that they're running. With coming in, and Ace Austin was asking for odds that he was the odds-on favorite, and then Alexander showed up and said, "No, I'm actually the odds-on favorite." And then TJP showed up and said, "Well, I just beat you, so that makes me the odds-on favorite." And then all of a sudden, they pan to the right, and Petey Williams shows up, and he cuts the Scott Steiner numbers promo. It was classic. It was just spot on, super well done. Like, it fit perfectly, and it was great. But yeah, Ace Austin has that face and just character that, like, just want to punch him in his suck hole. Like,
yeah.
like he's just one of them dudes. Like, yo, you can punch 5 people in the face and not have any repercussions. He may be in my top 5.
He has the Roger Klotz.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But with all that said, he's a complete stud in the ring, and like I said, he just won the title. As much as I want Alexander to win it and actually get a true run with the X Division to then move up the card, I don't see it happening now. I figure Ace will keep and retain.
Yeah. So I'll go with Ace, but definitely Alexander is a stud too. I definitely like him.
Yeah.
But Ace Austin for the win.
Cool. All right. Let's head into the Impact Knockouts Championship. We have champion Deonna Purrazzo. I don't even know how long she's had the title now. she's been on a run, and she's wrestling Tenille Dashwood again. Tenille's getting another title shot. Can Tenille bring the title home this time?
Again, this match has potential to be match of the night with both of these women in the ring. They both can go. Deonna is one of the hottest women in all of pro wrestling, which what she's done with this run in Impact. Kudos to her. I'm super happy for her, given how things worked out in the other place. But no, she's definitely deserved everything. She came in for a one-off, won the belt given circumstances, and wasn't supposed to keep it as long as she has, and it turned into her signing a full-time deal and going on this run. Tenille cut a really good promo last night on the Go Home show. Drew my interest even more into the match based on that promo for her and the face-off that they had in the ring. Like you said, Chris, I mean, she got to come through here.
Yeah.
The it's all about me gimmick and everything else. I know she's battled some health issues over her run in Impact, which is why she's been off TV for some length of time here and there.
She deserves a run.
I absolutely agree, and I think she'll get it on Sunday. I think she'll beat Deonna as much as I don't want to see it happen, but Deonna has had the belt for a really long time. And it's time for a change, and it will be all about Tenille on Sunday. So give me Tenille.
I'm gonna go with the same. I think it's how many times can you put Tenille against the champion and not win, and have multiple matches at times against the champion. So I think it's her time, even if it's not a long run. Even if it would just happen to go to Slammiversary, fine. As long as she finally can get that win, I'll be happy. So I'm going with Tenille on Sunday.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going with it. Evolution.
Should have known.
Yeah.
Should have known.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with Tenille also. It's like you said, Chris, it has to be time. So give her Susan Lucci moment and give her the belt.
All right, so we'll continue on in the Knockouts division. We'll go with the Tag Team Championship. Current champions Fire and Flava versus Jordan Grace and announced on Impact this week, Rachel Ellering.
Right, so 2 weeks ago, Jazz came out for her retirement speech. She lost to Deonna at Hardcore Justice, and based on that stipulation, it was title versus career. She lost, so she came out to retire. Came out to give her speech. While she was giving her speech, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steele showed up and ran her down pretty much. They got into an altercation, so on and so forth. Scott D'Amore made a match and granted Jordan and Jazz one more shot at the belts. Jazz declined the offer and said, "I'm a woman of my word. That was my last match. I am retired, but I do have somebody in mind for a partner for Jordan." Which leads to last night. Jordan comes out for her match. They have it, and then Tasha and Kiera beating Jordan up, and Rachel Ellering makes the run in and save, and that's how we find out who Jordan's tag team partner is. Super excited to see Rachel Ellering in Impact. I think that's a good spot for her.
Mm-hmm.
I really like them two as a team. They look good next to each other. Moveset wise, skill wise, I think them two will work well together. And Tasha and Kiera have been fantastic as knockout champions. They're just cocky, loudmouth heels that talk shit on everybody
Mhm.
and don't care who they say or what they do. I was surprised that they won the knockouts title. They weren't my pick to win in the tournament, but having them get the belts was the right call. Maybe Jordan and Rachel pull it out, but I don't know. I think something's just telling me they're going to stick with Tasha and Kiera here.
Okay.
And maybe you'll get more than one matchup with this.
I'd be okay with that. I mean, we'll see what the chemistry is between Jordan and Rachel. I liked Rachel in NXT. I was really surprised when they never signed her to a legit deal because I thought she actually had talent and she could have, I think she could have progressed nicely down there in that division. Jordan, I don't even know. I was trying to go through it earlier. She's had multiple matches, other than with Jazz. She's had multiple partners and multiple matches for the Knockouts tag title since they've come back. Just with that alone, it's kind of like the same thing with what I was talking with Tenille. I mean, how many times are you going to give them her title shot and her not be able to win it? Especially Jordan. I mean, she's such a talented female. I could see the champs retaining the title on Sunday, but I'm going to go with Jordan and Rachel on Sunday.
It's a toss-up for me. I'm not sure. Is this Ellering's first match altogether?
Yeah,
in Impact, yeah.
You throw the strap on her right away. A strap, not the, but yeah, I'm gonna go here and
that's why my thinking is, they won't win. It may be a dusty finish where they don't lose clean. Something happens, whatever,
and then run it back,
and then run it back, and then that's whenever you get the title change. Then, with that, have them chase a little bit. I agree with you, Chris. Kind of Jordan with Tenille as far as going after a certain championship that you can't win. She was Impact Knockouts champion, so she's more than capable of winning a championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you'll get. You won't get a clean finish in this one. Something will happen, and then you'll run it back, get them to chase a little bit, and then do the switch down the road.
I'd be okay with that.
That's how I feel. Yep.
Nope. Champ retain. Just simple as that. Too early to throw the belts on. New team.
All right, so let's go into
that. Always be a belt on Jordan Grace.
Huh?
Yeah.
I think that she always be a belt on Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
She's talented enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a fan of hers since she showed up in the Rumble at All Out or All In.
Yeah.
Whichever one first. All In.
Mm-hmm.
That spot she had with Bully Ray, but since then I've been a fan of her. She's had a great run in Impact, but like you said, she's in that point now where it's like, all right, what are you going to do with her? Obviously, she can be in the main event picture anytime you need her to step up and be in the picture. But if you're not going to have her in that picture, are you going to put the tag team belts on her, or what? So,
yeah, because it's been enough time since she's been Knockouts champion.
Right.
So it's not like she's just coming off one to go into the other. She's not pulling a Charlotte. Was she X Division champ?
Bang bang.
I don't believe so.
I know she was going for it, so I couldn't remember if she had won it. So okay. All right, so leading with that, let's go into the men's tag team championship. We have the champions going in, Finn Juice of David Finlay and Juice Robinson versus the former champs, the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson.
I really like Finn Juice. They just, I don't know, something about them. They just work for me. Juice Robinson from where he was at in NXT to now, he is completely 180 degrees a different person, different wrestler, like everything. Like, huge fan of him. I like the gimmick in NXT, but like ever since he's been in New Japan, what he's done, the run he's had, whenever he was, the United States champion, like he's just completely done a 180. I know Jay may not like him for other reasons, but it is after dark. If you don't know, just kind of Google Bruce Robinson and see who his significant other is. One of Jay's favorites, but to me, this match comes down to like, what are your plans for your relationship with New Japan? Mm-hmm. Because they came over, they're the first talents to come over. There's rumors of others coming to Impact. I even saw Okada's name referenced out there as him coming back and doing something with Impact. Don't know if that's true or not, but like, what are your plans? They won the belts. They took them over. They toured with them in Japan this last month. So if they're not going to be over here more of a full-time schedule, I don't really see the point in them retaining. I think you put it back on the Good Brothers and let them run with it, for the simple fact that they are Impact wrestlers and they can be here full time. But I honestly, this is a coin flip for me. I like both teams. I do. Good Brothers cut a good promo last night on the home show. So yeah, I'm a toss up. It's a 50-50 here. I don't know yet.
So I wasn't a big fan of Bruce Robinson NXT. Even I wasn't even a big fan of him in New Japan whenever he first came on. I wasn't a Finlay fan before either. But since they became a tag team, I've actually liked both of these guys. I think this tag team has improved both of them. I think this was just like a quick one-off for them with the belts. I'm thinking the Good Brothers are gonna win the belts back. Also depends on the storyline they're going to be developing with the main event too. I think that's going to have something to play with this match as well. But I'm going to go with the Good Brothers.
Yeah, that's what has me leaning with going towards the Good Brothers too.
Yeah.
Is this just going to be a faction of collectors?
No, not necessarily, but I think Impact has to be elevated with these working relationships with New Japan and AEW. Mm-hmm. And so far, you really haven't seen them get elevated. It's been all AEW on their shows, which started off hot, and they did have ratings boost, but those have cooled off, and you're back to your hardcore Impact Wrestling fans.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have to receive some type of benefit from these relationships. I think it was good putting the belts on FinJuice and having them go over and tour Japan with the belts and talk up Impact and everything else over there, which is great.
It surprised me when they won them. I didn't see that happening.
Given the times we're in with COVID and traveling, and I know things are starting to ease up a little bit, but still, I just think if you're going to have Impact champions, you're going to want them to be on the show as much as possible. So if they're not going to come and stay, and granted, because they tape 2 months in advance, they may keep them and roll through these next 8 weeks of tapings and have them as the champs. I just don't see it right now. I think you got to put them back on the Good Brothers.
And the titles would get more exposure since the Good Brothers are consistently on AEW as well.
That's exactly what I was going to pick the Good Brothers, even though it could be a loser leaves of the company match, and get the Good Brothers out of there. But I was feeling just because there's exposure, they're going to put them back on the Good Brothers. Can we just put them on Carl? One man champ.
I don't care about the titles. I just don't want to see the Good Brothers anymore. You guys know how I feel about them.
You
tired of them, over them, don't care about them. Let FinJuice keep the belts forever. I'm just tired of seeing the Good Brothers on everything.
They're doing their job then if you hate them.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely are. Yeah.
So, I love them. I love
They,
them.
they definitely are. They're like target number one on my list of like wrestlers I cannot stand.
Wait for that Super Elite shirt to come out probably this week, and more merch they're gonna be hawking.
It'll be all black and gold because they'll have all the gold on them. All the gold.
I'll buy the shirt and cross out everybody's face but Kenny's.
That was the Golden Elite. I don't think they'll go back to that.
True. Very true.
All right.
So
Main event.
main event.
All right, the match everybody has been talking about and will continue to talk about this upcoming week. It's a title versus title. Impact World Champion Rich Swann versus the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. Kenny by God Omega.
Kenny by God Omega. This match will be the much anticipated return of Mamma Mia. Mauro Ranallo will be back calling this match.
Who's anticipating it?
Oh, I'm happy with it.
I'm
a
so
Mauro
happy.
fan.
I'm so happy to hear the bipolar rock and roller, as he calls himself, back on the wrestling mic. Give me Mauro all the time, all day, all the time.
You're gonna get a bunch of DMX references.
I think you're going to see a
DMX.
different Mauro here. I think you're going to see the
Nah,
more.
man.
I think you're going to see the
He's
more
dropping
like
Shock G,
MMA
Big
style.
Rob. He's Black Rob. He's dropping. You get all the hits this week.
Give me the hits. Give me the hits. I missed Mauro. I need to hear him again. So
Cole. I'll take Cole.
no.
I'll take Cole.
God no.
No.
I'll take Cole.
No.
So yeah,
I think his whole job is to provide a little more legitimacy to this match.
it's that big fight feel.
Yeah.
They're adding the big fight feel to it. You know, like WCW back in the day, you'd get Michael Buffer come out and give the let's get ready to rumble. Like it's them going into that. Okay, hey, this is a big time deal. Let's bring in the big guns. I'll be interested to see if it's him and Stryker, him and D'Lo, or him with D'Lo and Stryker. Like I'll be interested to see how they work that out. You know, or you just let Mauro go solo, like Joey Styles used to do in ECW. I don't care either way. I get to hear Mauro Ranallo call another wrestling match for 20-25 minutes.
That would be interesting if he went solo.
Yeah, I don't know if he could handle solo, but
yeah, that would be interesting.
That man has legit made me mute my TV and watch matches drop. It sounded like the Thunderdome when it first started when I watched a Ronaldo match.
the hate for Mauro.
Yeah, I don't know how we agree so much, Jay, when we disagree on so many things. So yeah, I mean, obviously the hype for this has gone on since Omega won the belt from Moxley. It opened up the forbidden door. It had everybody talking what's going on, all these promotions working with each other, where's it going? So, you know, to Callis's point, they make history. And this match has been leading up to making history. They've been hyping up the fact that nobody has kicked out of the One-Winged Angel, which leads me to believe that Rich Swann will be kicking out of the One-Winged Angel on Sunday night. Don't know if that will cause the internet to burn to the ground. A lot of people are going to be upset if Rich Swann is the one person to kick out of the One-Winged Angel. We'll see how that plays out. But that is my prediction at some point in time this match, that he will kick out of the One-Winged Angel. Look, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Rich Swann in this match. If you watch what Rich has done since he's won the belt, he's been fantastic in all of his title defenses that he has had. He can go in the ring. I will never knock Rich Swann in the ring. The microphone is where Rich Swann loses me. And to be a history maker on this level, you got to be able to talk on the mic. And not that Kenny's fantastic on the mic, because he certainly has been hit or miss a lot of the time. He's been more hit on Impact than he has on Dynamite leading up to this pay-per-view. I can tell you that much as far as promos. But he has that mouthpiece to talk for him. So you got to put it on Omega. There's no way Swan wins. It makes no sense. Omega's the best bout machine, the yada yada yada. You know, the whole Babe Ruth of nicknames that he's gotten. Maybe this is the first step to him legitimizing himself on U.S. soil, because Kenny, so far, if you didn't follow him in New Japan, it's like, okay, he's good in the ring, but like, you made it seem like he was the Jesus walking on water of wrestling, and you haven't seen that yet from him. So I think him and Swan in the ring together, you know, not that they'll have a 7, 8, 9-star match like him and Okada had. Of course they won't, because it's not in the Tokyo Dome, so Meltzer don't give out 5 stars. But I think this is going to be a hell of a match between them two.
Yeah. With all the eyes that are going to be on this match, whether it is live or sometime this week, they need to deliver in some form. And you sit there and you brought up the fact that, you know, can Rich Swann do it? You know, maybe that's the swerve there. Maybe no one's expecting Rich Swann to be the one to win, but I don't think. I'm going with Kenny Omega as well. You know, but it's just, that's the whole thing. You know, like, are they going to swerve us in this match somehow? They keep saying they're going to deliver. There's going to be a winner to this match, and they keep saying they're delivering a winner. But this is also still pro wrestling.
So last night on the Go Home show, Swan came out to the ring, talked about the press conference the previous week, and went to shake Omega's hand, and Omega slapped him before he realized what was happening, and you know, he got pulled off by security. So he challenged Omega to come down to the ring and put his hands on him again. Kenny and Don show up on the Jumbotron there and cut a promo, which is fine. But then as soon as they're done, Moose's music comes and hits, and Moose comes out. And I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? And I thought Moose did a good job in his promo as far as emphasizing to Rich on where he needs to go. Like, what part of himself does he need to look into and get to in order to be victorious in this match? Referencing going back to, you know, him beating Eric Young and that fire and that anger, whatever emotions that Eric Young drawn out of him based on that storyline, that Rich needs to find that part of himself again for this match on Sunday. And then Moose ended the promo by saying, oh, by the way, if you lose those belts, you'll have consequences to pay me personally. So I'm like, all right, little nugget there. Like, where are you going? Obviously, you can look at that and go, all right, so Rich is going to lose, and then him and Moose are going to go off into some type of program. Moose ran down Kenny Omega a little bit in that promo as well. So I thought Moose would have been the better choice to face Omega in this match. But I don't know, like, it just throws something else out there at last minute to make you think a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, Moose kind of gave that thing too. Like, if you can beat me, you can beat Omega. You know, which kind of like was Moose putting himself over in that promo, like he's on Kenny Omega's level. But that's a whole other conversation for a different time. Or go back and watch the last Impact prediction show we did, and you can hear my opinions on Moose there.
Yeah, he said you just heard from the wrestling god, but now you're talking to the god of pro wrestling.
Yeah, so, and it's one of those things too. So if Kenny Omega does win the Impact Championship on Sunday, what do you do with Kenny Omega in Impact? Like, so Slammiversary is right around the corner. So if Swan and Moose go on their own separate storyline, you know, they've both been in the main event picture for so long. So now you put someone new in the main event picture, and who would he go with there? And there's a lot of interesting questions, which would make Impact, maybe be must watch again, because you don't know where things are going with it. What's he going to do with the title? Good.
Not to cut you off, but this question just popped into my head, and it made me think back to what I saw on Twitter for Dynamite, and then last night for Impact. Has the lack of build for this match on Dynamite hurt it at all?
I was going right into that. So Tony Khan said something this week that about the lack of build-up. Basically, to me, it sounded like Tony cutting a promo instead of actually giving a real answer, because he said, I got to pay for advertisement time on Impact. So if they wanted time on Dynamite, they could have paid for advertisement time. So basically saying that, like, it's just like, okay, like, yeah, you're not really paying for time on Impact. We know that.
They did run the commercial for the pay-per-view, in the picture-in-picture of I forget what match it was that was on during Dynamite. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, you're throwing it out there, but they haven't talked about it a whole lot.
No, they haven't.
Impact has done more of the what does this mean for Impact? Kenny Omega crossing the line, Don Callis turning his back on Impact, and I get it because that's their company and that's how they see it in that. So I understand it from that standpoint. I just think AEW could have did a little bit more.
At least just this week.
Just this week.
That's it. You got more. You got the super elite with Moxley and
Kingston
and Kingston, but you couldn't get one thing with Rich Swann coming out there, and
that was the perfect point for Kenny to instead of Kenny getting interrupted by the horns right away, like he could have started off the promo and said, something before I talk about business here. Just let me address something real quick. Rich Swann, Sunday Rebellion. I'm gonna come there. I'm gonna collect your belt, and I'm gonna move on to another promotion somewhere else in the world and collect that belt, and then move on to another promotion and collect that. Like, just a quick 10-second blip. That's all he would have needed to do, and then you could have went into the stuff that they actually did for the segment. Like,
I get that it's not an AEW payday. I can understand that, but it's your champion headlining that pay-per-view. Like, you should still be promoting it.
And you would want as many eyes possible on your champion, so you would want people to tune in and buy that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, during this whole time when the partnership started, how many times have you seen Rich Swann on Dynamite?
Yeah.
It gives you the winner right there. Who's going to win this main event?
And I get it. I get having Omega show up on Impact to draw eyes there, and it did. It gave them a boost. But there could have been just a little bit, like you said, this week. Just give me something, and to add on to the layering for the belt, for the match, given the significance of it. Because then he wins Sunday night and he shows up to Dynamite on Wednesday with the Impact belt, and that's now when they're going to start talking about it.
Yeah.
So if you don't watch Impact, if you're a fan of AEW but you don't watch Impact, you're going to look at this and go, well, what does that belt mean? Like, where did he get that? You know what I mean? Like, it was just
kind of the way they treat the AAA title, where like occasionally he'll bring it out, but it's not consistently showboating the title.
There's like no give or take,
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a partnership. You got to give some, you got to take some. It's nothing.
I'm on my side.
So, I'm not coming to your side ever. So, so that's why I'm going with Omega, because again, like I said, the Rich Swann ain't on Dynamite or anything. So that shows you right there where they're leaning to with everything.
I'm going to DraftKings and I'm putting $1 on Rich Swann and the Don Callis double cross.
What does that parlay play out?
Who knows? Nothing. It's Probably not even a prop bet. I don't.
Next Saturday,
That.
next thing you see the Dubmore Cameron Grimes on this podcast.
Just to be different, I'm gonna
throw
go
money up.
Yeah.
I don't know how that I don't know how that works on DraftKings because it's like
No, with scripted stuff.
yeah, it's like I mean,
Well, WWE's on there, but I don't think Impact is.
And Chris, you say you was talking about who's if Kenny wins the Impact title, who's he going to fight next at Slammiversary? That's where Brock Lesnar comes in. Definitely kick the door down.
So maybe you'll get the other half of the greatest match of all time, and Moxley and Omega at Slammiversary, and Moxley becomes the Impact champion, just gets put on that island of misfit toys.
But I mean,
I know this took a turn.
We're predicted.
that marks for a reason, but to corral it back in, the overall card itself, like I said, it's a loaded card. If you haven't watched Impact and you want to see a solid pay-per-view with solid wrestling, it's definitely one to tune in for. You're not going to be disappointed with this pay-per-view. I really strongly feel that. You're going to become a fan of a lot of people that are on the card, and it'll get you to tune in consistently on Thursday nights on Twitch or on Access TV. They have a solid lead up to the pay-per-view on Sunday. So at 5:00 they're replaying on Access TV. If you're lucky enough to get Access TV, they're replaying the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view or special or whatever you want to call it from 2 weeks ago. That'll lead into This Is Rebellion, which will go from 7 to 8, which is their version of a pre-show for the pay-per-view, and then 8:00 you'll get the pay-per-view on Fight TV and wherever else you can purchase pay-per-views from on your cable system. It's $40. An announcement made. You can get Rebellion on PlayStation. So Impact struck a deal with Sony with PlayStation. So you will now be getting Impact Wrestling on your
Gaming
PlayStation.
news.
Huh?
Gaming news.
Yeah, that correlates to the gaming stuff for tomorrow.
So just another place to be able to access and watch the product, which is smart.
We've talked about their pay-per-views in the past that their pay-per-views are consistently good. And if you aren't watching Impact, I think this is a great starting point to do so, because so many eyes are going to be on this event that I think that they're going to try to hit as best a home run as they can with this event. So yeah, I think if you've been sleeping on Impact for a little bit, this might be a great time to tune in.
Yeah, the card definitely lives up to them stacking it for this show. I don't know, buys wise, I don't know what you would consider to be a success for Impact. I don't know how you gauge pay-per-view buys nowadays to see what they would generate.
I'm not even sure what they normally generate because they don't usually release that information. So
yeah, but I agree. This is going to be a solid show. It's going to be a lot of eyes on it for the main event alone to see what happens. People want to be there to witness something that's quote unquote history making, and for all it's worth, it is history making. We haven't seen this in the modern era of wrestling.
Yeah,
you used to get this back in territorial days, where you go in and you have champion versus champion, but from a modern wrestling standpoint, we haven't seen this done. So what it will lead to, who knows? But we'll certainly tune in Sunday to watch and see how it all shakes out and plays out. So with that being said, before we wrap up and go around the horn here, what are you guys predicting as your match of the night?
I'm hoping it's the main event. I hope that does deliver as the match of the night. If it doesn't, my backup match is going to be the X Division Championship, the Triple Threat.
I always lean towards the Triple X Division for them, so I'm going to lean towards that.
Same here.
Chris, I agree with you. I think the main event will be match of the night, and the fallback would be the X Division triple threat for me. That if you want to understand what Impact Wrestling is, the X Division has always been the go-to.
Yeah.
For what Impact Wrestling is. So
day one, match one.
Yep. And it's always been the most consistent and steady factor of Impact Wrestling has been the X Division, regardless of eras, who's there, who wasn't there. The X Division has always been the staple of Impact Wrestling. So, yeah. So with that being said, nobody has anything else this evening. Nope. Good. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for this special edition of Dumb Marks After Dark. As always, you can find us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Email the show at dumbmarkspod@gmail.com. Head over to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/dumbmarkspod. Buy some of the merch, support the show. We love y'all. If you do buy a shirt, we will give you a shout out on the show. And tune in live tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for our regular Saturday brunch bunch, where we cover everything from pro wrestling, TV, movies, entertainment, sports, drink of the week, and everything else under the sun. And with that being said, I'm a Mark, you're a Mark, we're Marks. Until next time, y'all can catch us around the way.